This is very weird and impulsive. I was not planning on doing this today, but I kind of realized that, I don't know, I found the note that I wrote on my laptop of when I was going to film it and realized I already kind of like forgot how exactly I was feeling. So I was like, this is the time, just do it now. So I have not sat in front of a camera in forever. My last video was like 2 years ago, if not more. So we ended up actually going through IVF at the beginning of this year. So I just wanted to kind of explain it. I also have a ton of footage that I filmed when we were going through it and I have nowhere to put it unless I kind of put the story in there too. So I'm going to try and do this without as many cuts as possible because editing, I'm scared. I haven't done it in forever, and I also just know it's gonna be a really long video because my note is really long. So me and Vinny started dating, if you don't know, February of 2013, so a little over 10 years, and then we got engaged and got an apartment in 2017, I believe, and then we got married and bought a house in 2019. And we knew we were not going to want to start trying for kids right away. We were relatively young, actually very young, like for New York standards at least, to get married. We were, I want to say 23 and 25, but like we've been middle-aged since we were 18, I feel like. But we just knew that we wanted to kind of enjoy the fruits of our labor and be able to like relax and have fun, enjoy our house. Ever since we got engaged and had the apartment in 2013, we were like, oh, 2023 is probably when we'll start trying. Like a loose kind of like joke, like, oh, at least 6 years because we'll be like our late 20s, like that's perfect. And it's funny that that, you know, is now. But we ended up just going for it in end of 2019. I remember that we just were like, I don't know, we both just kind of were like, we want a baby, and we were like, let's just start trying. We're just gonna like not try, not prevent, just be so chill. And I was just so convinced. I was like, this is great because we're trying like a year earlier than we originally planned on it. And they say it takes up to a year, so I'm just be so chill. Like I just thought, I don't know, because I know who I am as a person, so I don't know why I thought I'd be able to do that. For type A Virgos like myself, that just doesn't work. And like, I'm so jealous if that's your personality because I just don't have a chill moment in my body. But basically, as soon as we started trying, every month I would literally be like, oh my god, the due date is gonna be here, and I'll be able to tell our family for Christmas, and then maternity leave would be this summer, and this and this. And like, I just can't not do that. I can't not see what the future would look like and get excited and think about all these things. February of 2022, we were only like 5 months in, but I was so hopeful about that month because I always wanted a November baby. So I was like, I want a November baby, and the reason it hasn't happened yet is because it's supposed to happen this month, and that is why, like, I was crazy. And at this time, I wouldn't say I don't recommend going on the trying to conceive part of TikTok because it made, I don't know, it was entertaining for me. I love research, so it was fun, but like it's also all consuming. So I was doing all the wives' tales. I was doing the Mucinex, the pre-seed, the maca root, the pomegranate juice, which like I'm a research girl, I can't help it. And we tried everything, and when that month it didn't work, I was like devastated. And I feel like from that point on, I just like knew it wasn't gonna happen. And some people might say like, oh, that's why I didn't. And like, I don't know, you might be right, and if you are, great, but whatever. Like I just kind of like knew we were going to need to do more. It's like the weirdest thing. And I wrote this down, also a big stats girl, so it could take up to a year to conceive. Like that's what they tell you, right? Like, oh, it's normal for it to take up to a year to conceive if you're under 30, whatever. And my opinion on that is like, and this is based on my immediate people around me, like my own research that I do, so like, yeah, super biased, but it is the most common to get pregnant within the first few months. And my opinion is they get that year amount by taking the majority of people that do get pregnant that first month, 2 or 3, and also the people that it takes 2 years in IVF to get pregnant, and they just get that year mark in the middle. I have so much shit written down in my laptop. Like this is super condensed, if you could believe it. It's gonna be a long video. I literally could probably write a book over the trying to conceive aspect of a year and a half. But I really want this video to be about our IVF process. So I'm going to scoot past the majority of the trying to conceive. Around the year mark, I talked to my gyno, I did my research, and I decided I wanted to move to the next steps. And I want to preface this by saying that Vinny's insurance is great, but unfortunately it doesn't cover anything infertility. In New York, it does mandate that you require, like, they cover some of it, but his job is remote and it's based in another state. So we did not get any coverage. So that being said, for most people, they probably, if they were self-paying, probably want to try everything that's cheaper than IVF, but I was the opposite. I ovulated fine, so I didn't want to try Clomid or medicated cycles. And the success rate, I'm a huge IUI hater. So again, if you're gonna comment and be like, my IUI worked, that really is amazing. But I just didn't like what I was hearing. I just didn't seem like it was worth the time and effort and money for something with, in my opinion, such low success rates. And the success rates of IVF, at least for us, were not much more than just tracking ovulation like we had been doing. So the idea of paying $3,000 to $4,000 a pop, especially when you think about it, like most people do try like 3 medicated cycles and 3 rounds of IUIs before moving to IVF. So I just kind of knew it wouldn't work. Like I just knew that we would need to do IVF, and I didn't want to get to the point of needing to do, of like it's time to do IVF and we had already paid for a full round just in the pre stuff, if that makes sense. So maybe it would have worked. I really don't think so. I have no regrets about not doing it, but we did decide to skip right to IVF. Also at this point, like I was just impatient. Like up until this point, I would get upset and I would say to Vinny, like, I just want a free baby. And he'd always be like, there's no such thing as a free baby. But like I moved past that point. Like, I just want a baby. I do not care if it's not a free baby. And I was just like thinking about it and just thinking about the fact that it's like, okay, if we'll put the money into like our house or whatever, like why not put our money into this? And this I wrote down because I do feel like strongly about this whole thing, but I don't doubt that if we didn't have any interventions, I'm sure I would have gotten pregnant sometime over the next 10 years, just based on statistics, but that's just not something I was willing to like chance and wait on. And I almost feel like judged sometimes when I tell like older people that were pregnant and it was IVF, because they're like dismissive. They're like, oh, you only tried 1.5 years. Like we tried for 7 years before we had my daughter, and like that's so amazing, but I just didn't want to do that, and I don't see why I had to if we had the means. And like IVF is so accessible, and I just don't think it was as accessible or talked about as it is now. And like if me and Vinny were on the same page, like I just am not the type of person that's just gonna sit around waiting on a maybe. Like that's not who I am. And at this point, everyone knew we were trying to conceive, and I was sick of everyone's comments. I just wanted a baby. I was ready to make shit happen at this point. Like I don't do well with waiting around. It actually got to the point leading up to IVF that I was nervous I was going to get pregnant unassisted, because at that point I was like, okay, so then what if the next time it also takes this long? And what if it even takes longer? Are we going to have to do IVF when we already have a toddler? Like the idea to me was like, let's just do the process now and then hopefully get some little babies on ice by the time ready for the baby to have a sibling, instead of trying to do the whole like shots and everything already having a child. Like right now it was just me and Vinny, and I'm like, let's just like, it just seemed easier to me. I was so into it at this point, like I almost just wanted to do it. Like I was so intrigued with the whole process. Like maybe I like gaslit myself into being like, okay, you're doing it, so you might as well. And everyone's like, oh, it's great, you had a good attitude about it. But I'm like, I don't know, I didn't look at it as a death sentence, let's just say that. I was excited to do it, I was ready to go. So we were in between 2 clinics, and the one I really wanted, my client actually works at, it's extremely like high regarded, and it's only 15 minutes away. But a cycle was $25,000, not including PGT testing, which I will get to PGT testing later, and not including meds too, by the way. And I toured with the idea, I was like, let just one of us get a part-time job that pays for the insurance. But Vinny was super insistent that we should just try 1 round out of pocket, saying with both of us working and going through IVF and like another job, like that's just so stressful. And looking back, he was right, but I was just so scared about what if we needed more than 1 round, because like we didn't want to pay $25,000, I really didn't want to pay $50,000, and some people need multiple and you just don't know. So we decided just to go for it, because a lot of the jobs, they have like a 3-month waiting period, and again, I was antsy and I just decided to go for it. So it's December at this point of 2022. Started trying in September of 2021, now December 2022. In September of that year, we had decided we'd give it to the end of the year and to just like try naturally in the holidays and everything, and then we would start in the new year. So 2023 would be like the year. So November cycle last year didn't work, and so same, I was just kind of on it. December, I was researching clinics and booking consults, because if I could, I did want to start like January 1st. So this is nothing against the clinic we didn't end up using, because it really is an amazing clinic, but I ended up playing phone tag with the receptionist for a few days just to book a consult. And I remember I was like, if I'm paying $25,000, like, can I just have a little bit, like, I don't know, something? And then I remember their first consult that worked with our schedules, which like our schedules are very flexible. I make my own schedule. Vinny's on by 2 every day and works from home. The first day would have been January 25th. And like, consult, by the way. My client gave me the heads up, like, oh yeah, consult, then usually they try and get you in like a month. It just sounded like a really long time, and I was like, okay. So I found this clinic in the city, and I honestly did not want to use them at first because it was very popular, but had like very average ratings, like 3 out of 5. And the biggest complaint was that it was kind of like an assembly line and not very warm and cozy, like bedside manner. But honestly, it's Manhattan, so I would never really expect cozy. Like, it's New York City, what do you expect? So just like for shits and giggles, I saw that they did free Zoom consultations that you could literally book online, so it was so convenient. And I don't know if it's usually like this or if it's mainly because I was the only weirdo requesting a consult like the week before Christmas. But he had a meeting that week, and he was like, yeah, you're young, we can start you next month. We'll be doing your retrieval in a month. The doctor explained that he wanted me to do mini IVF, partly because my age and partly because that's just what they specialize in and believe in. So I'm gonna explain IVF super fast. If you know what it is, then fast forward this, but this is how I understand it, and this, I don't know, I think you need to know this if you're gonna watch this whole video. So it's basically broken into 2 parts. You have the egg retrieval, and then you have the embryo transfer. So I consider a full round of IVF doing both parts, an egg retrieval, embryo transfer. If you're talking to someone who's just freezing their eggs, like they're single at a certain age and they want to preserve their fertility, they're freezing their eggs, so that's the first part, the egg retrieval, and they're stopping there. And if you're talking to someone that has a child through IVF and they have embryos in the freezer and they're ready to have number 2, they're just doing the second part, which is the embryo transfer, which is the less invasive, expensive, whatever of the 2. So basically, the process works like this. Every month, when you're just trying naturally, when you're just like, you know, hanging, you usually ovulate 1 mature egg. With IVF, you are on a certain medical protocol, shots usually. These are called stims, and this is usually what you'll see if you've watched someone's IVF video and you see them doing the shots in their belly. That's called stims. And the sole purpose of the stims is trying to grow as many follicles, which holds the egg, as safely possible. Some people get 10, some people get 50. I would say the average hope if you do IVF is to get around 15 eggs to be retrieved from these follicles. From those eggs, they have to be a certain size to be considered like mature, and however many are mature, then you try and fertilize them. So it's been 6 months, so I might be wrong, but the correct size is nothing smaller than 16 millimeters and nothing bigger than 21 millimeters. So then out of the mature ones, they try and fertilize them. Then they wait 5 days or 6 or 7 to see how many developed into blastocysts will be frozen to eventually be transferred, little frozen embryos. So the attrition rate, or as people in like the IVF community call it, the Hunger Games, is crazy. Like, I've seen people get 40 eggs only for 20 to be mature, for 10 of those to be fertilized, and then for only 5 embryos to be frozen, if that many. So you're literally talking like numbers being cut in half every time. Mini IVF is basically the exact same thing as IVF with a lesser protocol. His thinking is that with such a high dose of meds, people's eggs are getting like blasted to create as many as possible, but then because of that, they might not be the best quality. Kind of like, what food is gonna be better if it's 500 degrees in the oven for 10 minutes or if it's in a slow cooker, like that type of vibe. He wanted me to be on a protocol where we would only maybe get 10 eggs, but since they'd be cooking like low and slow, the majority of them would hopefully be mature and fertilized, and let's say we'd be left with still 5 frozen embryos, which is my goal. It's not like if you want 5 embryos, like I want 5 kids, 5 embryos. There's only about a 50% chance of an embryo, a frozen embryo transfer leading to a live birth. So let's say you have 6 embryos, hopefully that would lead you to 3 children. I'm really hopeful for 5 frozen embryos, so that way we would be able to have at least hopefully 2 children. So I was scared because I really only wanted to do the egg retrieval process once, just for so many reasons. Like, who doesn't? Like, I don't think anyone goes into it wanting to do it more than once, but I was trying to make it clear to him. I was like, I'm so scared of getting 10 eggs, but then being left with only 1 or 2 embryos, which maybe we'll leave in 1 live birth if we're lucky. So I was like, please, can we do regular IVF? And he was like, I don't think it's the best course of action. And I decided to trust him. So we headed to our first in-person appointment on January 6th, right, the start of my cycle. I had my first baseline appointment, which is like the sonogram and blood work to see what your body's doing naturally. And this is when they decide how long you're gonna be on birth control. It suppresses your hormones and any like current follicles trying to grow, just to get you to like a flat, even starting point, so everything grows evenly once you start meds. So I was thankfully only on it for 1 week, thank God, because I hated it. It made me feel like shit. And then I went back, I think Friday, January 13th, we got another sonogram blood work to confirm I was suppressed enough, and they decided I was ready to start meds that Sunday on January 15th. I have any videos, and I have tons of shot videos. I will insert them throughout the video.
Pinch the already cleaned injection site between two fingers. With the other hand, insert the entire BD microfine pen needle straight into the skin. Release the pinch. Press the injection button all the way in to be sure you have given the full injection. Wait for 5 seconds before pulling the needle out of the skin. Pull out the BD micro needle.
Do you have the replay? Do you think you got it?
Good.
Wait, hang on.
Hey.
Wait, hang on. Okay, just go.
Right here?
Yeah, just do wherever.
Right here?
Yep, go. Wait 5 seconds. Cool, yeah, you did really good. I didn't even feel it. Good job, babe.
Thank you. Good job to you.
Really? You had a pinch. I'm scared, sorry.
Don't suck in.
I'm not.
You're just skinny.
Rude.
Was the nurse confirm?
Yes. Alright.
Dang, put my pillow down.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Forgot.
Really, I think I heard you a little bit more.
No, yes,
I feel like
sir.
I didn't get a good enough pinch.
Your grip like kind of pinches because you're focused on getting the stuff out, like when you start pushing it. Sometimes it feels like it pinches, but it also might just be the medicine going in.
Well, I'd rather you focus on my pinchy you than needy you.
You saw where the incision point was? You said it.
Yep.
What does it look like?
A little mark.
Day 3.
I see a hair on this.
Oh, Jesus Christ, okay. Just switch the fucking needle.
Remember, kid, if you're f***ed up, this is because your mother.
I'm scared. You're supposed to be still. No.
No, baby.
Okay, so
I gotta get measurements. Gotta do my measurements.
You're making noise.
Is that what I do?
I think you will.
Do I? Yeah?
Stop if you're nervous. Why'd you make that noise? Did you do 150 that time?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if you counted, I didn't confirm.
Come on.
No bleeds.
I was supposed to be like a little bit left over. It's fine, dude.
Alright.
I don't want you overthinking it. Stop.
We went to another follicle check today. She did give me an update. I have 8 on my left side. So the ones that are under 10 millimeters, I think, we're not expecting to grow, but the ones over 10 are. So I think there's 8 on this side and 6 are over 10, but on the right ovary, there's only 7 and 5 of them are under 10. But it's funny. Oh yeah, there's like no towels to this. That's why I said to wash your hands in the other room. But we've only been injecting this side because this side hurts more and it bleeds. But since we're only injecting this side, we're like, is it only getting to that ovary? Which I know it's not how it works, but I just feel like to be safe tonight, we're gonna do this side to try and get everything catching up. So my protocol was only 1 shot a day. It was Follistim, or if you're, familiar with IVF, also called Gonal-F. So only 1 shot a day for the 2-week stimulation period, which is usually average of how long you're on the stims. It was a decent dose though, like 150 units. So that was that. And then I was on 1 or 2 different oral medications a day. I believe it was 1 tablet of letrozole only for the first 5 days and 2 tablets of Clomid for the whole entire 2 weeks. So the first 5 days or so, we just had to sit tight and hang out. And then starting day 5, we started going in every other day for sonogram, blood work, wait for email to see if there's any changes. I always heard of the Clomid crazies, and usually in a regular Clomid cycle, people are only on it for the first 5 days of their cycle. And I was on it for a full 2 weeks, so I was like, I'm gonna be a monster, especially in combo with the letrozole and the Gonal-F. But honestly, my body handled it fine. I felt amazing. I was super motivated. I don't know if it was related, but it was like the best ever, and I was in a super good mood. But that I also could attest to the fact that I felt like I was actually doing something. I'm wearing the weirdest outfit because I just don't feel like having anything pressed tight on me right now, even though I don't feel bloated at all. I don't know, I feel like the stims are affecting me very strange. I feel like if anything, I'm not as bloated as usual, and I don't know. I feel like yesterday I was in kind of a weird mood. I feel like I've been in a really good mood this whole entire process. No symptoms, so motivated, such a good mood. Today is technically Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So this is day 9 of stims if you count when I just started taking the Clomid. It's day 8 from actually doing the injectables. I'm feeling anxious just because our original plan was egg retrieval Thursday, which would mean that we're not going in for monitoring today. We went in yesterday. Rude. Our original plan was that we were going to go in tomorrow, and that they're gonna say everything looks perfect. They're all around 20 milliliters or millimeters or whatever, and to do the trigger shot tomorrow night, which I just don't see how that would happen, because yesterday I think my biggest one, anything over 10, they said it is most likely gonna make it, but none of them were above 13, maybe 14 or 15, but I just don't see, unless they grew a ton yesterday and today, which I'm hoping they do, I just can't see going in tomorrow and them saying yeah, you're ready for trigger tonight. I don't know, it just seems I don't see how that would happen. I don't know. So my hopeful plan was 10 eggs retrieved, 8 mature, and in a fucking dream world, I would love 4 or 5 embryos that are ready to be frozen. I feel like it's just, I don't know, I just am kind of getting a little nervous. If we just end up with 2, I don't know what we would do, because I almost feel would it just be smarter to jump into another retrieval? But again, it's just stressful. We're not doing PGT testing just because we just looked a lot into it, and it just doesn't really seem, it doesn't test for everything. It just tests for Down syndrome and chromosome issues, which is of course super important, but basically there's just a lot of studies that we've looked into just about how it's not 100% accurate, and there's a lot of things that can self-correct in the womb, or just false positives or false negatives. So I just feel I follow people where they implanted, if it was 100%, if you PGT test, it's gonna 100% have no issues and you'll 100% not have a miscarriage, I would do it. But I know someone who they implanted 2 untested and it split. Now she's pregnant with triplets and she's, in her 2nd trimester. And I know someone else where she implanted a PGT normal embryo and she had miscarriage at 7 weeks. For this round, we're not gonna do it. So I just need them to make it to day 5, little blastocysts. And I just am nervous. I just got a text this morning saying that we are genetic screening, because we do we got the karyotype test. So that came in, and you have to make an appointment to hear your results. And I don't know, I'm sure we're fine, but I just am so nervous. God forbid what happens if both of us are carriers for cystic fibrosis, because then I was oh, well, if that's the case, then we'll do PGT testing. But she was no, that's only for chromosome. For that would be PGT-M testing, and that's $7,000 per embryo to test. So she's even if you did test positive for that, I don't think or know if you would do it. I'm sure, because also too, then it's not $7,000 and you could test it and fix it if there's an issue. $7,000 and it's not, I don't know, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I've been in a good mood so far. So we're trying to keep up with it, honestly. I'm trying to stay good. Genetic testing came back only for me because Vinny's got messed up somehow. I think they had his birthday wrong. but it only matters if both people are carriers for something. So mine came back like days ago and I was negative for 275 out of 275 diseases that they test for, which is like amazing, because even if Vinny does come back as a carrier for something, it does not matter. So very happy with that.
How many? That's how you treat my pillow.
Cool.
I'll be a stand-in husband for people that are going through.
Stop! That's actually so sad, because you'd be really good at it too. Ready? You look confused. Perfect. Should I pinch? Get it good. Oh, that's where it's sore. Can we do a different spot?
What do you know this one?
But then there's always 3 minutes of you flicking the top of the I remember the last few days they had me stop all meds to see if we could get a few more eggs to like kind of like catch up without losing the bigger ones, because if they grew any bigger they'd be too big. So I did that. I just wanted to give an update. It's like funny because I think the last time I filmed was Monday. We haven't triggered yet. It's now Friday. The follicles are growing awesome. So I'm sure I'm sitting down and explaining all this to you guys. We finished the follicle stem and I was like, okay, I'm going in today. They're gonna have to tell me that we have to trigger, because I've never heard of anyone stimming longer than 12 days. I usually hear 8 to 12 days. I was okay with the fact that it was 12 because I have noticed a lot of people are like, they told me to trigger on day 8 and so many of them weren't mature, and I know that's what we're trying to avoid. And then I took a pill to stop me from ovulating all of my follicles, which I guess is a thing. When they said that, I was terrified. Like, oh, some people ovulate anyway and then you'll just lose all 18 eggs. I'll never forget, they usually sent me that daily email and Vinny was like, relax, it's fine. And then they started calling me, like my phone lit up, it was like New Hope Fertility. And we looked at each other and we were like so convinced that's what, and then instead she was just giving me instructions for the trigger shot. But after, he was like, oh my God, I so thought that's why they were calling, because they never called before. It was very scary. But thankfully they were just telling me it's time to do the trigger shot, which is a shot that you do 36 hours to the minute before retrieval to kind of give the eggs like a little heads up to start like peeking out of the follicles so they can go into surgery and suck them up. It's our lucky side. Maybe you should do our lucky side.
Honestly, I think this guy's been our lucky side.
All right.
You were worried about...
Okay. Rub them up.
And I pinch?
You pinch, you insert, and then you
And
let go.
angle.
Yeah, I don't like the angles. You have to do the angles. Is it 45 to 90 degrees? Is it 90 degrees straight?
Yeah, but I don't know why they only...
Yeah, so like if it says 45 to 90 degrees, do it straight.
But when she said the 90, it was like from the side.
Up to you. I just why? So you pinch, you insert, and then you let go, and then you push in.
Really?
Yeah, that's what she did it.
Okay.
So you pinch.
Right here?
Yep. Insert.
Let go?
I didn't, just leave it. I don't trust it, and then insert slowly. All right, trigger shot. So it's currently Sunday. I got word yesterday that we could trigger last night for a Monday morning retrieval. So finally, it's literally, we started stems. It feels like longer, like a full like 15 days ago. So I'm just so ready to be done and get everything out of my body. I'm starting to get a little bruise. I don't know if you could see, but it feels like to me, this feels like how it's gonna feel when I'm like 3 months pregnant. Like it feels like I have a heavy uterus. Like, yeah, look at that. The retrieval day comes, we go in, I get put under anesthesia, which was an extra $650. I was more than happy to pay for. They were like, you can do local. I'm like, look up the needle for an egg retrieval and let me know if you've done local. You are a warrior. No, I just got I was like, knock me out, like for the day, that's fine. Like I don't want to be awake for this. So when I woke up, the nurse came over and she was like, you got 18 eggs. And I was so shocked because remember, I did mini IVF. So they were expecting around 10, 18 eggs is what I would have expected if I did conventional. I was so excited, so surprised, like it was amazing. Thankfully, again, I had a very easy recovery, but I've had surgeries in the past, and what I've noticed is it's best to just take it easy from the jump, and then you'll be healed quicker, versus if you push yourself too soon, then you end up being out of commission for more time. So I just took the next few days super easy. I didn't work, I just stayed in bed and drank Gatorade, and I was fine. So that was great. And then the next day we got an update on how many were mature. We had our egg retrieval yesterday. I wanted to film getting the update, but like, I don't feel like that, like relieved. Like I feel like some people when they hear numbers, they like are relieved and start crying. Like I just don't think that's me right now because I just feel like we still have a long way to go. So they actually retrieved 18 eggs, which is huge. Out of the 18, 16 were mature and 2 were like just either, yeah, very immature, so too small, and they got rid of them, which is what you do. And so 16 mature eggs is huge. And then 16 were inseminated using ICSI. And out of those 16, 13 eggs confirmed normal fertilization, and 2 eggs are like still a maybe. They're yet to confirm normal fertilization, but can go either way. And then only 1 egg fertilized abnormally and was discarded. So we have between 13 and 15 day 1 blastocysts, I think it'd be, or just what would be called. So it's retrieved, mature, fertilized. Okay, so I think it's just fertilized. We have 13 through 15 fertilized embryos right now, and we just have to see what's like left of them out of the, I don't know, I'm so nervous. Most clinics, I feel like they tell you at day 3, but honestly, this is probably best. 5 or 6 would be, 6 would be amazing. More would be even better, but great numbers that I was not expecting, both doing mini IVF and just what I heard Hunger Games wise. And then you had to wait a full week, I think till day 8, to find out how many made it to blastocyst. Some clinics give you like a 3-day update or a day 5 update, but I'm actually so happy mine didn't, because most of mine didn't develop fully till day 6. So I would have been literally devastated for no reason. And this is another side note, but it's important. Day 5 is ideal, but day 6 is also totally fine. And there's actually only a difference like of 5% between success rates of day 5 or day 6. So anyway, it just depends on how long the embryo takes to develop, which the earlier the better, but day 6 is fine. So that day 8 comes, I might have a video, and they emailed me that they were able to successfully freeze 8 embryos, which I was like so shocked. Like, again, I was hoping for 3 or 4, like 8 made me so happy. My doctor was insistent that we should do a frozen embryo transfer. I kicked and screamed, which that means that you just have to wait for your period to come back to do it like a month later, versus a fresh transfer you could do 5 days after. Look up the pros and cons for it. Basically, you could just develop OHSS. My doctor was scared that was gonna happen, and he wanted me to do frozen. I was impatient, I wanted to do a fresh, but after he saw how many eggs I got, he was like, no. We were hoping to do, we haven't even told anyone this, because I was hoping to surprise everyone, and whatever, I'm like being a baby about this, I know, but we were hoping to do a fresh transfer. Our doctor definitely made it clear that he's not the biggest fan, but the difference between a fresh transfer working and a frozen transfer at my clinic is the difference in 45 and 50%. Like that's 5% isn't a huge difference. But now that I have so many follicles, the doctor told me today, he's like, I really don't think it's a good idea because you're at risk for OHSS. I was hoping to just be able to do the fresh transfer, and then I'd be like pregnant so much sooner than anyone would think. It'd be like such like a fun surprise, but whatever, hopefully if everything works out, a frozen transfer would be able to happen 3 weeks after I get my period back. It's kind of safe to assume that like we could be doing a frozen transfer in like 4 to 6 weeks from now, which is not a long time. I just feel like we've been waiting so long, like I'm ready to go. Like we're talking about Vinny's birthday, he's turning 30 in June, and I'm obviously gonna throw him a party, and I was talking about if we did like a joint birthday and gender reveal, like a surprise gender reveal at his birthday party. Like, I don't know, it's just like, I feel like so much is riding on this, and like we just like, and I've always wanted a November baby. It would just be so crazy if we were able to transfer in February and have the November baby a year later, because that would just feel very like full circle-y. So yeah, anyway, so whatever, I'm rambling. I had to wait for my period to come back before starting the process of the frozen embryo transfer, or FET. And I remember the hormone crash after the retrieval sucked. Like I was so down for like 2 weeks, maybe even a month. And I was like, this is my payback for having such a good stims experience. Like I was so down bad, but that sucked. And then my retrieval was Monday, January 30th, and I got my cycle back Saturday, February 11th, a little over 2 weeks later, which is good. And frozen transfers are usually done on cycle day 19 of your cycle, which gave us a tentative transfer date of March 1st. So I was doing a partially medicated cycle, I think it's called. So I think it's really cool. Basically, I was going in for constant monitoring again so they can make sure I had a follicle growing. The hope being that as soon as I ovulated / the egg drops, they would wait 5 days and then implant my 5-day embryo, hoping that my body would accept it and think it was like the egg that it just dropped. Like, cool. So I was on oral estrogen and progesterone suppositories, partly to make sure that my lining was thick enough for transfer, and that the progesterone I would have to keep taking up until, if I were to get pregnant, until 11 weeks, just because there's no harm in too much progesterone, but you can have a miscarriage due to not enough progesterone, and that would be so frustrating when it's like such a simple fix. So I was on all that, no side effects, except I was so bloated. Like people talk about the pre-egg retrieval bloating or even right after. Honestly, it was not bad. I felt like a bloated tick around the progesterone. But real quick, before we get into the transfer, I want to talk about the total because the clinic really was a lot more affordable than the other. So most clinics have you pay for a full cycle up front, but my cycle had you pay like each step as you went, which I really liked. And what I also liked is there was different price tiers depending on how many eggs and embryos you got, as far as like the egg retrieval, ICSI, freezing, and I ended up being in the higher tier, but I still like that because I think it's fair if you only get 3 eggs that at least you could do is get a smaller bill. So anyway, only 2 full months of monitoring was $1,600, including, that was like the unlimited blood work and ultrasounds. Around $1,100 of meds, another perk of mini IVF. I was expecting like $5 grand of meds at the other clinic. $2,100 for the egg retrieval. Anesthesia was $650. I would have paid triple. Egg fertilization was like $1,800-ish. ICSI was $1,500. The embryo freezing was $1,350, and we get a nice little yearly storage bill of like $1,000 or $1,200, but whatever, gotta keep those bad boys safe. And the saline sonogram, which I was forced to do before the transfer, kicking and screaming because I've had a really bad HSG, but it was not as bad, which is what they told me, but I didn't believe them. That was $350, and then the frozen transfer was $3,000. Keep in mind, we just missed the cutoff by a few weeks for price increases. By committing in December 2022, they allowed us to use 2022 pricing until the end of March, and we literally transferred March 1st. So like so close, but that brought us to a grand total of $13,631. So way cheaper than 25 grand, not including meds. We get the transfer date of March 1st. At this point, no one knew, and it was actually really fun. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, that's so sad, it takes the fun out of it. But besides the fact that it's only a 50% chance of it working and it's not definite, it kind of felt like waiting for Christmas. Like when you do the transfer, you're something called PUPO, which is pregnant until proven otherwise. So then he kept calling me like pre-pregnant, and it was so fun because then we went on one last like sushi and wine date the night before. No, the Saturday before. It was a few days before. I didn't drink the night before. And everything we did had this special like excitement to it. Like, oh, like is this the last time we're doing this? Today is frozen transfer day. I can't believe it. It doesn't feel real. It's Wednesday, March 1st. Monday was 4 weeks since my egg retrieval. Here's the thing. As far as I know, I think I'm in a good liar with this. Most of my friends know we're doing IVF, but I have not. They know we did the egg retrieval, they know how it went, but they do not know when the transfer is gonna be. And everyone I've kind of told that it's going to be months. I don't know if they believe me, but I kind of like, I think I made up a good lie. I was like, my doctor likes you to get your period back, which I haven't gotten back yet. I got it back weeks ago. And they want you to have a full cycle, do testing, another full cycle. Like I told them we probably won't be transferring till like summer. So they don't know what to transfer, but once I told one of my friends, Dee, just that we were doing IVF, there's like such things as like lucky transfer stocks, and like, I don't know, I just thought it was really cool because I really don't think that she knows what we're transferring like today. These are so fucking cute. They're this cute green color, and it says positive vibes with 2 little lines on them. So I'm totally gonna wear these because like I have to. They're lucky socks, and okay, bye. I was trying not to be on complete bed rest, but also not be too active. So we just chilled, we went to Trader Joe's, and I made this like chicken noodle soup recipe. I need to like remember it and tell you guys it, because I was psycho and had all of the foods in my head that I knew were good for implantation, and I made like a special IVF transfer chicken noodle soup, and it was just really nice. And this is when I realized that the possible due date for this baby would be November 17th, 2023. So if you remember from earlier, I really wanted a November baby, and originally when we got married, we were like, November 2023 would be the perfect baby. So the stars just like felt aligned, but then I'd go through like a negative wave and be like, well, they felt aligned before and that didn't mean shit. And it was just this roller coaster of like, wow, the odds are so high that it's gonna work. And then like, wow, only 50%, thanks for literally nothing. Like it was a roller coaster. I wrote down my symptoms before testing. They were minimal, and most importantly is I was convinced it did not work. It is currently 2 days past 5-day transfer. It is way harder to stay positive than I thought it would be. I kind of thought throughout this whole thing I was gonna feel like I'm pregnant until proven otherwise. I might as well enjoy it, and instead it's just really hard. Like I thought it would be until day 4 or 5 until I started feeling like sinking doubt feeling of maybe this didn't work, and that happened way earlier than I thought, like day 1 or 2, because I just really want some type of like cramps. I really want some type of like pulling sensation that everyone talks about to make you feel like you're implanting. And I feel like I have had some cramps, but nothing crazy. And also I'm like, did I imagine the cramps? I'm feeling a little bit better now because I got out of the house. I went on a little breakfast date with my best friend. We got our nails done, so it's like good and it's fun, and it was really hard not to say anything. And I was so sad because I saw so many Reddit posts that were like, I just had this gut feeling when I knew it worked and it did, or just like I knew when it didn't work and it didn't, and I was like, great, I know it didn't work, doesn't work, it's not working, and I'm devastated. Like I was so positive, and I did all the old wives' tales. Like, keeping your feet warm is like a wives' tale. I hate wearing socks when sleeping, but I was like, I gotta do it. I would not have any iced water, iced drinks to keep my uterus warm. Like I was crazy, but I had to do what I had to do, and it made me feel, I knew if it didn't work, is it because I didn't wear socks? Like I just was psycho. So back to the symptoms, and I know that some of these are like too early, but I'm just telling you what it is. DPT means days past transfer. So 1 DPT, only that day I had a headache and I was starving. The next, or like the first 3 nights, I had the most insane vivid dreams, and some were morbid AF. Like I literally still remember the one I'm thinking about right now, and it was like so morbid. I woke up, I was like, do I need therapy? Like it was very weird, and my weird dreams continued on. My biggest symptoms, you could even call it that, is first of all, since the night of transfer, I've had like absolutely insane dreams. Like I always have crazy dreams, but it's been unlike anything else. The dreams have been nuts. I've been having a hard time sleeping, but I feel like that might be because of the progesterone or just because of the stress, honestly. And then yesterday I had a headache all day and I was starving all day. Like I don't think I stopped eating once. So that's it. I just really hope this worked. And like Vinny has been so sweet. He got me the day of transfer a huge bouquet of flowers and a really nice card that had like a really nice like long letter in it. And today I kind of had a little bit of a meltdown, and he was just like, if it doesn't work, we try again. And it is what it is. Like he said more stuff than that, but I don't know, my brain is scattered, but I'll check back in with you guys. These dogs are crazy. What are you doing? What, you little rat? What, you little rat? From 2 DPT, I had very slight cramping, which everyone tells you that's what you should look for. Like, wait for this pull or tug. And I had some sharp cramping, but it was literally gone so fast where I was like, you literally imagine that, you're crazy. 3 DPT onwards, my boobs were huge, but that also happens before my period. So I was like, I'm probably just getting my period. 4 DPT, everything I wrote from this point on, I was like, it could be in your head, because it could be in my head. 4 DPT, morning only, sore throat, could be in head. 4 DPT, also minor breakouts, could be in head. 5 DPT, maybe slightly nauseous, it's probably in your head. So this was all from my notes. So relatively symptom free. Like I know people that are like, I just got a pang, and I was like, that's implantation, baby. Like no, I did not have that in the slightest. So I was just so convinced, and I just had this gut feeling it didn't work, and Vinny agreed with me. I remember I was like, what do you think the chances are? He's like, probably 50-50, but I just knew. He was like, we both were like, there's just no way. And I was literally like, if this month doesn't work, next month we're transferring too. I don't care what the doctor says. Like I was so sad and planning for the next month's transfer. So this is so silly, but this is something that I highly recommend, like this way of testing if you are gonna do IVF. So you have a beta. The beta is the blood work to test if you're pregnant. And mine was relatively early by clinic standards, like most do 2 weeks after. Mine only did 1 week after. So this is important. 7 days past a transfer of a 5-day embryo is technically the equivalent of 12 DPO, because you have to add the fact that the embryo was already 5 days developed. So anyway, my beta is 7 days past 5-day transfer. And the earliest you can get a positive is around 4 days past 5-day transfer, which is 9 DPO. But I did not want to test them. So what I did, I found it on TikTok. It's going to sound crazy, but hear me out. Started testing early and then would pee on it and then immediately like put it away and label it so she didn't see what it said yet. And I started doing that 4 days past, and I'd pee on it, label it, immediately put it away. And I wanted to do this every night, then look at the one the night before transfer, but transfer was early, so I didn't really get to do this that long. So basically it went like this: 4 days past, pee, shove, label, whatever. 5 days past, test, shove it in the label, put it away. And then the night of 6 days past, the night before transfer, I'd allow myself to look at that night's test. So the reason for this, because you're probably like, you're literally out of your mind, is 4 days past has a very high chance of being negative, even if it did work, just because you're so early. So I knew that I would look at it and I'd be devastated, and there would be a chance that I still was pregnant. 2, versus 6 days past, it's like, there are people that get positives later, but like most likely if it worked, you're seeing some type of line 6 days past. Anyway. 2, if 4 days past was positive, it would be so faint that I would be second guessing if it was real. And 3, if all 3 days are positive, you'll be able to see like line progression. So I will go ahead and play the clip now. It's Sunday, I'm whispering because Vinny's in the living room. He definitely knows what I'm doing, but I tried to lie because I really don't want him to think that I'm testing early, but I'm not looking today. I'm very scared I'm gonna accidentally look. But basically, I have a first response and then an easy at home, and I'm going to dip them, put them right back in the wrapping, store it, and I understand that it's not valid after 3 minutes, but the hope is that I'm gonna do this tonight, tomorrow night, and then Tuesday night, and then hopefully I'll see some type of progression. I'm like really scared I'm gonna accidentally see it because I like don't want to at all. I'm like so scared. Okay, so let me do this. What is it, 10 seconds, 3 seconds? I'm literally so fucking scared. I'm gonna see it. I'm not looking. So symptoms wise, I've actually had a good amount now, and I've been pretty crampy for like a while. Oh my god, I'm so fucking scared to look. I'm just gonna twist it now because I'm gonna accidentally look and I'm gonna shit myself. Oh my god, I was just glancing at the easy at home and I just saw the one line, which it just did it, but fuck, I'm so fucking scared that it's gonna be negative on Tuesday. I wish I didn't even see the control line right now, fuck. Anyway, I have a lot of symptoms, but it's funny, the symptoms that I wanted, I now am like, oh, that could just be my period coming. Like, either way, I'm not happy because I'm just scared. Like, I've had cramps, my boobs are so sore. I don't know, I just like, I really feel like I could be, but also like I can't imagine actually being pregnant. So I just feel like it's negative now because I just saw the control line pop up so fast. But I wouldn't have a dye stealer right now anyway. Like, it would be faint. So like the only time that the control line would pop up last is if you have a dye stealer, which is at like 20 days past. So I need to fucking relax. But it's 5 days past transfer. I look like a mess. We are watching The Last of Us, but it's 7:33 and yeah, it's 5 days past transfer, which means I find out tomorrow and I just really don't know what the fuck to think. I'm so scared to look. I really don't want to see. It's flipped over so I can't see it. I really don't know. I don't know. I feel feel like I'm not, but all day I felt like I was. I was kind of nauseous at 2 points. Today, one of it I think was in my head. The other was because I had a whole box of fruit roll-ups. Alright. I don't even want to check if it's like working. Like, you know how you see if the like liquid's moving through it. I don't even want to do that because I'm too scared that I'm gonna accidentally see 1 or 2 lines. So I'm not even checking it. I'm literally putting it in like this. I'm so fucking scared. That's it. I accidentally said 5 DPO. It's 5 days past transfer, but I can't see. These are my gorgeous flowers Vinny got me for the day of transfer. They're literally stunning. I don't know, I'm really so scared. I just feel like a lot of people say they have an intuition. I don't really have an intuition. I just feel like I can't picture it working. Like I cannot picture seeing 2 lines. And I kind of feel like I'm not because I've just had, I kind of feel like I'm getting my period, like I'm crampy and my boobs are so fucking huge and sore, but I also know that could be early pregnancy symptoms. I don't know. It's like, if we have to do this again, it's fine. I just, obviously it's gonna be okay. It's gonna work out one way or another. It would be really fucking cool if we just got like a little bit of a break and it worked out the first time, so. I can't, I feel like I'm sleeping. I literally didn't think that this would get to me, but I guess the fact that I just like talked about it and like rehashed all the feelings, but I am 20 weeks pregnant with a little healthy baby boy. So our first transfer did work. We are getting our little November baby. We are so excited and literally just very, very happy. So here's a little bump, little baby.